words that give anybody goosebumps. Friday Night Lights. And what a better way to kick off this weekend than our News 12 Varsity Game of the Week, a rematch from last year's CHSFL Championship. The Archbishop Stepinac Crusaders at 1-2, and the undefeated St. Anthony's Friars right here from Cy Donnelly Field. Hi, everybody, and welcome here to Huntington. Alongside Matt Shortis, I'm Dan Savarino. Amanda Puglisi will join us momentarily. Well, two different starts to this season thus far for the reigning champions in Archbishop Stepinac. 1-2 start, tough overtime game. St. Anthony's rolling in, though, at a perfect 3-0.
Yeah, that 1-2 start that you talk about, Dan, it's a little deceiving because Stepinac has lost their last two games to Iona Prep and Zavarian Brothers out of Massachusetts by a combined 4 points. So 2 points to Iona Prep, 2 points against Zavarian Brothers, and you know they come into this game not wanting to make it 3 in a row. On the other side for St. Anthony's, of course, losing last year in the championship game, they've got a bit of an axe to grind. They want to show this 3-0 start is no trick. They want to move to 4-0 on this young season.
Well, Stepinac had last year a plethora of talent in the receiving corps. One guy that does return, that's Sean Harris, and boy, oh boy, did he have himself a day last week in Mass.
Sean Harris had 3 touchdowns and 9 receptions last week in the losing effort, and when Richie Riker, the head coach of St. Anthony's, was talking about this offense, Sean Harris was the guy that he keyed in on. He's got breakaway speed. If he gets out in the open field, you got to watch out. He is their deep threat over the top.
Well, Coach Reichert finally feels this offense is starting to come to form, where they're able to spread the ball around, and it helps when you have someone like Danny Parker, who's a pretty good lacrosse player as well, and good in that open field.
We saw him week 1 of the regular season. Danny Parker was coming back from a thumb injury. They didn't know what to expect from him, and he played starter minutes in that game, and last week he had a fantastic game as well. He adds another dimension to their offense. He can go underneath, he can go across, he's a guy that can go over the top, just brings a ton of athleticism, and he's a bit of a security blanket, has great rapport with quarterback Greg Campese.
Two teams that have been the staple of the CHSFL AAA division. It's the St. Anthony's Friars and Archbishop Stepinac Crusaders. It's coming up next, a championship rematch, only on News 12 Varsity. Back on Long Island, St. Anthony's and Archbishop Stepinac. Well, we haven't met Amanda Puglisi yet. Here she is. She'll be roaming the sidelines for you.
Well, guys, good news for Coach O'Donnell and his Stepinac Crusaders. They are finally getting back Malik Grant. He injured himself early in the first quarter against Iona Prep. It was an ankle sprain. They didn't see him play last week against the Zavarian Brothers. So they're looking forward to having their captain and their leader back tonight against St. Anthony's. Coach O'Donnell says he's so diverse. He's like a Saquon Barkley kind of runner. Now, when I asked the other side, St. Anthony's, what they thought, they said, hey, listen, we can't game plan for just one guy. This team is so dynamic. We need to focus on all of the Crusaders.
Friars from left to right, pigskin on the pylon, fresh 12 minutes on the clock. Silvio Lizardo puts it on the carpet. It's picked up in midfield by Dexter Chance, and it will be the Crusaders who start from their own 35-yard line. That's where we see Joey Carino, first-year starting quarterback, 6'2", 190 pounds, and Matt, he's a pretty good dual-threat guy.
Yeah, and that's what Stepinac looks for out of their quarterbacks, and also the fact that they get Grant back this week, it adds another dimension to their offense, so a little bit more weapons to use for the first-year starter. They've put up good offensive numbers despite the 2 losses through the first 3 games. 1st
and 10 from their own 36, right in the middle of the field. And look at the handoff to the outside. And here goes Malik Grant. Knocked out of bounds inside of the 35 of St. Anthony's on his first carry of the night.
How's that for the first carry of the season? Malik Grant, little fake by the quarterback, Carino. And Grant, once he got outside, he got right past the edge of William Fitzgerald, and there was nobody in the secondary who was really able to hold on to him. Great open field running for the senior running back.
It brings him to the Friar 33. From the right hash marks belt high. They'll go back to Grant. Cuts outside. Malik Grant lowering the shoulder, picking up the first down and a little bit more.
Basically the same play they ran a moment ago. And plenty of Stepinac fans have come down from Westchester And they're liking what they see so far on the first 2 plays from scrimmage for the Crusaders.
Well, you think he's been waiting a little while to get back on the field. 1st and 10 from the 20. Handoff again, Grant this time right up the middle. He'll work up that right seam for about a 5-yard pickup. Give him 4.
St. Anthony's without one of their starting inside defensive linemen, Matt Stetz, their junior, who loves to just play hard, big hitter. He's injured, so they're a little thin there today.
Grant again, flag goes flying as he cuts to the outside. But he is just unstoppable right now in the first possession of this game.
Stepinac is basically saying, here's what we're going to do, try and stop us. They've run the same play 4 times in a row where Malik Grant just runs off right tackle in the B gap or outside. And he's gotten positive yardage on each time, except for that, which was a holding.
Malik Grant just 9 for 67 through the first couple of games. Got a couple of touches last week up in Massachusetts. And so far has been the only one to touch the pigskin for the Crusaders. So here's a 2nd and 15. And Grant again with the carry. This time he'll be swarmed back at that original line of scrimmage for a 5-yard pickup.
Mike O'Donnell, the 31st year head coach for the Crusaders, in talking about his offensive line this week, said it's probably the best offensive unit that he has ever coached. You have 3 of the 5 will play collegiate football, and they're making life easy for Malik Grant at the moment.
Man in motion as the first throw of the game is batted away. The coverage by Alvarado. Not too bad for the junior who got up there.
Good recovery by Alvarado. He was a couple of yards downfield and more towards center. Kept his eyes up, keeping his eyes on Carino. Was the first pass of the game, and Alvarado able to range to his left just in time and making the eye connection, looking up at the ball the whole time to bat it away.
Intended for the senior Eugene Boyd. 4th and 11. Across the middle. Incomplete. A turnover on down, so after an excellent drive to bring them inside of the 20, the holding penalty stops them, and now St. Anthony's will take over.
What did Richie Reichert say to us this afternoon? We want to be able to play bend but don't break defense, not giving up the big play. Well, they gave up the big play on the first play from scrimmage, but a holding penalty does Stepinac in. St. Anthony's makes them pay for it, and they're unable to come away with 7 points on the drive. C.J.
Wines also got rung up right across the middle. Wasn't much room there. So here comes Greg Campese. 3-year starter now is Campese, the senior. Belt high, and he'll play action. Throw over to Parker, and that's caught into the secondary up to the 45.
Well, what do we say in the open? Campese and Parker, they just have tremendous chemistry. The 2 seniors have been around for a long time. They play lacrosse on this field in the spring with each other. Great rapport, and Campese going to one of his favorite targets on the first play from scrimmage for the Friars.
They want to play fast, and fast they do play. This handoff will go nowhere. Kyle Angus, and the first one on the pursuit was DeAndre Smith, the safety.
You know, one thing that kind of raised my antenna this afternoon when we were talking to Richie Reichert, he said they want Greg Campese to become more involved in the offense, as if that's possible, but they're looking for him to run more and be more of a focal point as he progresses into the latter part of his senior campaign.
Trips left as they show blitz. Campese, now he'll show off his legs with a stiff arm and into Crusader territory. He's faster than a lot of people think, and he loves to run. We saw it all up and down the lacrosse season on this very field.
Well, it was a great job by the right side of the offensive line to pick up the blitz that Stepinac showed, and then Campese seeing a little bit of the opening. That's how versatile he is. He's been that way since he came up a couple of games into his sophomore year.
From the 42 of Archbishop Stepinac. Already a couple of first downs on this drive. Drops the snap, has to pick it up, and a shoestring tackle will knock him down in the backfield. Now, I'm not sure if it was a bad snap or he just kind of mistimed that one.
First look, it looked a little bit like he was looking upfield before he received the ball. So rare miscue from Campisi.
They're lucky to only lose 4. 2 receivers on the right, 1 to the left. Angus to the right hip. Play action again across the middle. High pass. Parker couldn't pull it in. And excellent coverage like a blanket. DeAndre Smith, whose name we've already said a few times.
That was a dangerous pass. Not only was it thrown behind him, it was thrown high. And if Smith had his eyes up a little bit more, he really could have laid a hard hit on Parker. Instead, it just falls incomplete.
So 3rd down and 14 from the 46-yard line. The chant is defense, defense. Packed crowd here at Cy Donnelly Field. Chest high, plenty of time now. He'll have to move to the right. Campisi goes to the legs, tiptoes down the sideline, but he won't get close to that first down marker. Still be short by about 2 or 3 yards.
Well, with the uncertainty that St. Anthony's has had through some of their special teams in the early going, I think Campisi might have bought them enough yardage to try and go for it on 4th down here.
4th and 4. Both teams have gone for it on 4th down. Only the first couple of possessions. And this is that weird distance. You can't kick it. It's a little too short to punt. Why not? 2 receivers left, 1 to the right. What's Randall? Now time to throw. Campisi averts 1 sack. Runs to the far side of the field. Gets rid of it. It's caught by Angus, but well short. So both teams a turnover on downs on their first drives of the game.
A tremendous job by the Stepinac defense on that play. Campisi escaped the initial sack, and then all things could have broken loose for Stepinac, but they remained in coverage, locked down their guys in the secondary. Parker was shut down, and he had to find Angus a yard short of the first down. Again, look at this from Campisi's view. He shakes out of it, but there's nothing available downfield. Stepinac has everybody blanketed. Angus was the only option.
And Barnes, the linebacker, almost knocked him down. Nowhere to go here. First one on the tackle is Joe Costanzo, a senior who had a fluke injury early on this season. And Matt, when you saw them against Del Barton, he wasn't there. He's just starting to come back into this rotation, was expected to be their middle linebacker.
But as St. Anthony starts to get healthy, it is a welcome sight for Richie Reichert.
Watch out, here's Grant. Lowering that shoulder, oh boy.
Talk about getting healthy. Malik Grant has been a beast in this first quarter so far.
He's not just elusive, but he's a power back as well. Kind of that Ray Rice, Saquon Barkley, you brought it up before. It's a great comparison. Now here he takes it on the outside, but there'll be a flag on this play. That was C.J. Wise who got the touch this time. So another holding penalty. We'll push the yardage backwards. The real good pace so far to this game, Matt. And you kind of expected it. It's a style right now for Stepinac. They're playing with a little bit of desperation. Yes, they are 1-0 inside of the division. I'm sorry, 0-1 inside of their league. But still 1-2 start, a team that's not really used to losing back-to-back games.
Not at all. And they have lost back-to-back games. And another one here would be 3 straight. A team that expects to compete for a championship again this year, the defending champs. And St. Anthony's off to the start that they're off to. You're right, it does have a real great flow to it so far.
1st and 17, and Grant gets the number again. Keeps churning those legs past the 40 and up to the 36.
I love the patience that Malik Grant shows as a runner. He's not in a hurry to hit the hole. The senior allows for things to develop in front of him. We saw it on the first play of the game in the long run. And there again, following his blockers, waiting for the opening on the left side of the field.
Carino will look to throw this time. The pump fake. Now the pocket collapses. Here come the legs. Far side, throws on the run. He's got a man. It's caught by Nicolo at the 14.
Well, Dominic Nicolo was wide open. He had 2 receptions last week for 13 yards. And with everybody in pursuit of Carino, this is the exact opposite of what we saw from Stepinac's defense a moment ago with Campisi.
Grant jukes outside. There's 6. Stepinac is on the board. Malik Grant here in the first.
Last year in the state finals, Malik Grant had 11 carries, 130 yards, and a touchdown. He might be near those numbers already midway through the first quarter. When Coach O'Donnell made the Saquon Barkley comparison, I think what he's referring to is you better tackle him all the way. Don't try and go down low because it's not going to work.
PAT perfect from Nate Henderson, and a 7-0 lead for the visitors. And all because of that guy, the senior Malik Grant. He just made 3 guys miss on that one play from 14 yards out.
Yeah, nobody really had a clear shot at him. And like I said, if you're coming to him from the side, you better wrap him up all the way, because if you throw one arm out there, he's too strong. He's not coming down.
So after a couple of 4th down turnovers for both sides, Stepinac gets in the red zone, but this time they punch it in because of Malik Grant. You know, this offensive line for them, every single one of them, you brought it up before, there's 3 guys who are probably going to end up playing at the next level. Between Prince, Cornelius, Ribaldi, Mucciello, and Fox. Those are the 5 across. And when you have a guy like Grant who can do it with the body and the protection as well to hit the gaps, that's a very dangerous team to stop.
And they run a lot to the right side of the line. That's where the meat is. Mucciolo, 297, committed to Sacred Heart. Fox committed to Temple, listed at 300 pounds. So that's a lot of body to run behind if you're Malik Grant.
Taken from the 15-yard line, it's Mario Escobar. And he'll get about 7 on the kick return. So now the Friars have some work to do, trailing by 7. And we saw a lot with Campisi, but they had some trouble with that pass rush through that first series, Matt.
But Campisi was able to make something out of it and scramble around when he needed to. Initial play, he had Daniel Parker open, but I thought the secondary really did a very nice job on the first play, on the first drive, defensively for Stepinac.
Second drive of the game from their own 24. 3 receivers wide left. Pressure comes from the outside. Here's a screen play. It's Makai Murphy. And Murphy only grabbed a couple on the reception, maybe about 5. Murphy has some offers himself. Stony Brook, Bryant, St. Anselm in Division II, very good school. There's a number of future college football players on this field.
Murphy, the rare 2-way player for Richie Reichert's club.
2nd and 5 from the 29. Nowhere to go but the backfield. Flag on the play. And it's a holding penalty. Zach.
This is an offensive line who's a bit the opposite of Stepinac. Right through with Gavin Miller in the middle. Stepinac taking advantage of the inexperience on the St. Anthony's offensive line a moment ago.
A very long 3rd down and 20. The stick is up at the 36. Excuse me, the 34. And this will be an official's timeout.
So Campisi got hit a couple of times on the opening drive and rushed. Another sack here, so they are putting some early pressure on the senior quarterback for St. Anthony's.
Third down and very long. Backs to the end zone. Shotgun formation. They spread out 4. A designed run right up the middle, and that will only get him up to the 19. So it looks like the first punt of the game will come for the Friars.
They were bringing blitz again. Sunil Fong, had that not been a designed keeper for Campese, Campese would have had 41 right in his numbers pretty early in that play.
And Sunil Fong, a basketball player, a big boy at 6'5". First time playing football for him since freshman football, so he skipped the last 3 years of the senior. He hasn't played in 3 years. The punt will go out of bounds, shy of the 40, so great field position as Jake Messina boots it left. Stepinac already up 7-zip, here 4.5 to play, and a 7-0 lead. All really done from Malik Grant's legs.
Yeah, he has been nearly unstoppable through the first 7.5 minutes of this contest, and now you're giving Stepinac the ball back with short field. They'll have it from the St. Anthony's 30.
Two receivers left. One to the right, 2-back formation with Grant and Wise. Wise motions left. Still holding is Carino. He'll throw it. It is retrieved at the 20, right on the numbers by Sean Harris. The first time they'll give him a look.
Well, St. Anthony's defenders, they kind of had to stay back because Wise was there along with Harris as the whole line shifted left.
From the 17, Carino keeps again. Now we'll throw outside. CJ Wise and pushes right over those numbers inside of goal territory.
Domino effect from Malik Grant and how he has imprinted this game already. St. Anthony's has to respect the run, so it's setting up play action for Joey Carino. And unlike his counterpart Campese, Carino has had plenty of time to work with, and he is unmolested as he's able to move the ball around the field.
He'll be 2nd and inches from the 8. And a false start. Well, if there's one thing you can say that's been negative so far for Stepinac, it has been some of the penalties. That will be their 3rd one on now 3 drives. But overall, Matt, this team is just moving and moving and moving up the field. We haven't even played a half, but the yardage keeps piling up.
And both teams are moving with pace. They're not exactly taking their time and using all the play clock.
2nd down and 6 from the 13. Wise motions left. Grant takes the carry. Jukes outside. And a shoestring tackle stops maybe another touchdown. Nicholas Alvarado was there.
Yeah, Alvarado had to use all of his strength to keep Malik Grant from going anywhere else. He has had so much room to operate from the second he receives the ball.
Carino on the keeper. Touchdown. A drive that started from the 30-yard line of St. Anthony's. Joey Carino, his 2nd rushing TD of the season.
Stepinac's offense just making things look easy right now. Everything is flowing for them. It starts with the line of scrimmage, setting up Malik Grant, and then they go to Malik Grant early. It's opening things up for everybody else involved in the offense.
Henderson is perfect on the PAT, as he has been all season. But Joey Carino, last year's backup, first-year starter. You got to pay attention to number 4. So 12 says, hey, I'll take some 6.
Yeah, right up the middle. And only one guy, Grant Gifford, even got a finger on him. But what do we see on that last drive? It was a 30-yard drive. We saw CJ Wise get involved. We saw Sean Harris get involved. Carino on the keeper.
Well, Joey Carino, the first-year starter, has been something else so far in this game. Amanda, you have more.
And Coach O'Donnell knew there would be a little bit of a learning curve, but he felt good with Carino this year because he followed behind Nicosia last year. He said Nicosia really did a great job of bringing him along, but that's not the same as game speed. You can't really replace game experience with the practice of last year, but they say that Carino has done a really great job of leading the team. He's making good decisions, and they're just looking forward to him getting better and better each game.
Yeah, it's tough to replace someone like Mike Nicosia, playing at Catholic University right now. Was top 6 last year in passing yards, top 5 in touchdowns, multi-year starter. I mean, those are pretty big shoes to fill if you're Carino.
And that's how you build and develop a program. You have a guy who's ready and waiting in the wings for when your seniors graduate. So it's not having to bring up a sophomore in an emergency situation. If you can go to your first-year starter or even a second-year starter as a senior quarterback, you know you're normally in good shape.
Own 39, third drive. So far, a turnover on downs as they were moving the pigskin pretty well, and then a 3-and-out punt. 3 receivers right, 1 to the left. Quick throw. It's retrieved just shy of the 50-yard line, and that's Greg Randall making his second catch of the night.
And I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of that, some quick passes, more West Coast style offense from St. Anthony's, trying to get rid of the ball quickly and keep Campese on his feet.
Showing blitz again, and here's some motion. This might be coming back, and yes, it is. So a false start penalty will back them up 5.
Well, when the opposing defense has gotten to your quarterback a couple times, you start to get a little jumpy. St. Anthony's right now in a situation they've not been in at all this season, trailing by a couple of touchdowns first quarter. Got to try to fight their way out of this and find their way out of this.
2nd and 7 from the 43. Pressure comes, hit as he throws, incomplete pass. And they are blitzing all over the place right now.
Stepinac dominating the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball in the early part of this game. Campese's been uncomfortable almost every time he's dropped back and having almost no time to throw on that last play.
It was edge rusher Dougie Simmons. Quick throw, Randall makes the catch and wrapped up by Jaden Jenkins. Just shy of the stick, so it'll be a 4th and inches.
That was a heck of a job by Randall. Bit of a duck pass because Campese had to throw off his back foot. Randall ends up turning around and getting sort of jackknifed as he catches the ball by Jaden Jenkins, able to hold on to it.
About a foot away from the first down. 2-back set. Barnes showing blitz on the outside. Randall the motion man. The handoff. They got the first down from Angus. Right past midfield.
Tell you, sort of a gutsy call. Right at midfield, already down a couple of scores. That's the sort of confidence that Rich Reichert has in this offense.
Here's an empty back set. Across the middle, looking for Randall again, nearly intercepted. And there's a flag on the play. Looks like maybe a late hit. Yep, that's going to be roughing the passer.
That Campese hung in there a while. But again, Stepinac continues to put pressure on number 11 in black and yellow.
Well, the defense for Stepinac this season, this is a group that does return a few pieces from a year ago, many of them right through the middle. Linebackers have been here for a number of years. Guys like Kevin Gray, a 4-year player. Kevin McKenna, 2-year starter. Simmons, who's been there for a couple of years, led last year the state in sacks. They know how to get to the quarterback, and right now they're going after a very young offensive line that returns just one starter who isn't 100% in Chris Wright.
And not only that, the last couple of games they've played more run-oriented teams, so the fact that these guys can kind of pin their ears back a little bit and chase after the quarterback. They're salivating at that chance.
Campese has some trouble with the handoff, but now will use those legs to at least turn nothing into a little something. Grabs just about 3 yards on the play as there's under a minute to go here in the first. Empty back again. Three receivers left. Campese, he'll run. He got the first block, and he's going nowhere. Kevin Gray, the 4-year player.
Stepinac continues to just bring the pressure defensively. I feel like a broken record already in this first quarter, but Campese's getting to the end of his drop back, and there's already guys right on him, so he's got no opportunity to even survey the field or figure out where his receivers are before he's got guys chasing after him.
They get the play off with 3 seconds left. Quick slant over the middle, incomplete. And we'll see if there's any time left on the clock. Right now it says zeros, but that's going to do it. Referee says the end of the first. So 12 minutes in the books. The first quarter, it was a show from Malik Grant, but we saw touchdowns not just from number 4, who was bowling over his opposition, but his quarterback got in on the running action as well to double the lead. 14-0. Stay with us on News 12 Varsity. Lights shining bright at Cy Donnelly Field, the gorgeous facility at St. Anthony's High School with Matt Shortis and Amanda Puglisi. I'm Dan Savarino, and thanks for making us a part of your Friday evening. Well, AAA action, CHSFL, you know all eyes are on this game going into it. And the team that stepped up real early on here has been Stepinac on both sides of the pigskin.
It's hard to imagine this team, how this team is 1-2 with the way they've played through the first 12 minutes, dominating the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball, timely blitz packages, and their offensive line leading the way for their returning running back, Malik Grant.
4th and 7. They've already completed a 4th down on this drive. Low snap, Campese picks it up, gets it out. It's caught by Randall, bobbled, then pulled in inside of the 20 for a first down.
Boy, did St. Anthony's need that. 2 4th-down conversions on this drive to keep the drive alive. Gregory Randall showing some good concentration. Bobbled it, but able to haul it in and get a key first down for the Friars.
Randall's been the main target tonight. As Campese looks on, gets the call. He'll have 2 receivers to his left, 1 to his right. Throws right. It's caught by Parker, who can tiptoe in for a TD. The Friars are on the scoreboard.
From the way that ball was thrown, it looked like Parker was tracking out of bounds right when he was going to catch it. But no, he stopped on a dime. The defender over pursued. And like you said, he was able to walk into the end zone. Great footwork by Daniel Parker.
Cameron Scucciarini on for the PAT. Was 5 of 6 this season. One of the 2 who will kick for St. Anthony's, and it was blocked by DeAndre Smith. So that changes things up slightly, but a 14-6 advantage here for Stepinac as they'll get the ball back.
Campese finally give him a little bit of time to throw the ball, and finding his favorite target, Parker, who last week had 6 receptions, 2 touchdowns, gets St. Anthony's on the board this evening.
That's 1 lacrosse player to the next, and 2 that will be playing at the next level of college lacrosse. Campese already committed to Harvard, has been for a long time. Parker now committed to the University of Virginia. He's a midfielder for Keith Weiser's squad. Every year a powerhouse consideration in the lacrosse world. That's something that St. Anthony's has always done, though, Matt. Some of their top players are always multi-sport athletes. We see it time and time again.
And I think you see it with their main lacrosse rival as well in Chaminade, and Richie Reichert said it Said it when we spoke to him in week 1. He's a big proponent of guys playing different sports. St. Anthony's now is a rugby team. So a lot of the guys on the football team can play that as a spring sport in addition to lacrosse.
Silvio Lasardo will kick this off. Already they put a few on the carpet. Line drive kick. Harris will pick it up on the second bounce from his own 6-yard line. Sean Harris bowls his way past the 25-yard line for a nice pickup. And Stepinac will start their first drive of this second quarter from the 27-yard line.
The running game of Stepinac has been so impressive and so efficient through the first 12-plus minutes that we've barely said Sean Harris's name. Harris coming off a fantastic week last week, 174 yards, receiving 3 touchdowns out of his 9 receptions.
A story today, and that was the story kind of coming in, was Grant finally being healthy and ready to go. Carino this time will keep it. Pump fakes and throws. Hits Harris on the near side, but he's out of bounds. And then there's a late flag out in midfield.
Coming all the way over from the other side of the field, too. So we'll see what this is, because it felt like it came down almost after the play. So an illegal man downfield is the call.
Well, that would make sense when they looked at someone from Stepinac and then threw the flag midfield. So instead of taking the down, they'll take the yardage. First and 15 from the 22 now.
Another
and
flag.
a flag. False start. Well, it's still early season, Matt. I know it's week 4, but these are the kind of penalties a lot of times you see early on. These guys are hyped up. It's Friday Night Football.
Well, for Mike O'Donnell, got to be a concern right now. If there's one area that Stepinac can point to that they've not excelled so far in this game, it has been penalties. They've already been penalized 5 times for the first 13 minutes.
First and 20, Grant to the left side. And slowing him down was Alvarado.
That is the best job St. Anthony's has done tonight in covering sideline to sideline. And Alvarado almost seems to be the guy that's coming up from the secondary to keep an extra eye on Malik Grant.
He's someone that Reichert was very, very high on, saying, boy, can he play. Just a junior. Carino. He's knocked down. Ball's loose. St. Anthony says they have it. They do. Nicholas Espada with the fumble recovery.
Well, how about that for turning the table? Stepinac dominating this game for the first quarter. Xavier Green took him a little while, but comes bursting through. Hits Carino as he was trying to transfer the ball and hand off. And it's Espada coming up with the fumble recovery.
Green's first forced fumble of the season, and the first fumble recovery from the safety, Espada. Excellent field position. First and 10 from the 19. Campese looking left, going end zone. He's got Parker. His second.
That is not an easy throw to make, going across his body, across the field, all the way to the other side. Danny Parker had 2 steps on his defender, and it was a perfectly thrown ball. And now St. Anthony's will go for 2.
Back-to-back 19-yard touchdown receptions for our impact player, Danny Parker. 2-point conversion on its way. Campese throws. It's cut and Parker's in. We're all tied up at 14.
And we told you in the open, these two have great chemistry. Campese and Parker. And it's on display right now. Boy, it was only about 5 minutes ago of game time that this game was being dominated by Stepinac. A few minutes later, along with a turnover, and St. Anthony's has tied it up at home.
Dan Parker, the senior, came in today with 3 touchdowns, will leave with at least 5. And the momentum has completely swung from the first quarter. And just think about that, Matt. 2 fourth down conversions towards the end of that first quarter and into the second. Tables turn all the way around, and now a tie game.
And the second one was almost more impressive downfield. That set up the touchdown, the first touchdown. And then you get a big takeaway from Xavier Green on the forced fumble. Boy, it turned around in a hurry.
Harris and Wise back to receive. Skips on the ground and picked up by Chance for the second time. He'll only get to the 30.
This team is energized now. They are flying to the football when they've got the opportunity to make tackles. So St. Anthony's responded to a little jab to the mouth. We'll see what Stepinac does as St. Anthony's has battled their way back into this game.
Well, you think about the guys who have come through thus far for St. Anthony's and made some of those big plays. A senior who played last year. A senior who played last year in Espada and Green. A senior quarterback who was there last year. A senior wide receiver who made impacts last year. You think they remember last season's AAA championship? It's Carino. Hits Nicolo right up the middle. And Nicolo breaks a couple of tackles before a scrum ensues right at midfield.
Yeah, to your point, Dan, Coach Reichert saying it was without a doubt the talk of this week. He said we didn't really have to remind them too much. But how about Carino zipping one over the middle to Nicolo?
A 17-yard pickup. Brings it to the 47-yard line. Nicolo already with a couple of catches tonight. Grant has it, breaks the tackle. But there's help there.
That's the second time in the last 3 plays now that St. Anthony's is starting to get some defensive pressure. Last time it was Xavier Green. This time the other side of the line. Will Fitzgerald, the second-year varsity member, he makes the initial contact, slows down Grant enough, and Costanzo able to wrap him up.
2nd and 13 from the 44. Wise motions right. Carino looking to throw. Steps up in the pocket, going for Nicolo, and overshoots him by about 5 yards. The coverage from Alvarado like a blanket.
I think there was some miscommunication between those two. Carino had plenty of time to throw. Nicolo cut in, and I think Carino was anticipating Nicolo continuing his route upfield. Instead, just a long incomplete.
So the Crusaders, who are 0 for 2 on 3rd downs, have a 3rd and 13. Hard count from the junior quarterback. As Friar Nation gets louder and louder. Carino rolling left. Here comes the pressure. Throws on the run. Nearly intercepted. Espada almost had his 3rd INT of the season.
Nick Espada, who recovered the fumble a moment ago, got big eyes when he saw this ball leave Carino's hand. Jumped the route. And Nicolo didn't feel him behind him.
Called the smartest guy on our defense. And it's come up with a couple of good plays here in the second. Punt got blocked with just a little bit of a tip, and that'll give some decent field position up around the 35, and they're going to keep moving up here. Maybe past the 40 and up at the 43. So 14-0 lead vanishes for Stepinac. St. Anthony's momentum now carrying with them. They get a turnover from a defensive play. Then after only the one first down on this last drive, make some really solid defensive plays, getting themselves into the backfield, making some noise, and now you're starting to see the confidence in the black and gold.
And the big question is, can they continue to keep Campisi on his feet? He had been hurried and uncomfortable all first quarter. He takes off right away.
Here's Campisi, got the block, and spun his way up to the 48.
Kyle Angus flying in and creating a little bit more room for Greg Campisi.
It was a rainy Friday night against St. Peter's of Staten Island when Greg Campisi came on, third quarterback that season for Richie Reichert. 3 years ago, in his second start, he beat these Crusaders. Now O'Donnell is ready for him. And Kevin Gray, who is a tackling machine, will wrap him up right at midfield.
Well, Mike O'Donnell said, "I remember it well. You knew he had something special about him when you first saw him, but they hadn't really had a chance to game plan around him because they hadn't seen him yet." Campisi was taken down in a headlock a moment ago.
They need 3 yards here. Haven't converted on a third down yet. Caught by Angus on the outside. Check that, it's Murphy. And he's going backwards. DeAndre Smith on the tackle again. Former outside linebacker now moving at that safety position.
Well, we saw Coach Reichert go for it on fourth down around this field position on the last drive. They don't have a lot of confidence in their kicking game, and they're going to do it again.
Campisi will take punts, and he does so here. It's a pretty good one. Spins nicely, and Parker, he'll touch it just shy of the goal line. Boy, excellent call, and look how close that was.
Yeah, that couldn't have worked out any better from a St. Anthony's perspective. Parker flying down the field. Excellent job as a gunner. And Campisi, some good hang time. Hit the ground at the 15, so about a 37-yard punt through the air. And Parker making sure he stayed out of the end zone. Downed it at the 1.
Deepest field position of the contest for Stepinac. From the 1. First time under center for Carino. And he'll just push ahead and let those big bodies of the offensive line get him there. And then he does some extra work and some more breathing room.
All right, great job by Carino, showing you some of his toughness, staying on his feet. Managed to pick up 8 yards out of that. Probably 5 of which came after contact.
That looked like a rugby scrum. Grant stopped in the backfield by Will Fitzgerald.
St. Anthony's has done a much better job getting to the football, knowing what's coming. We saw in that first drive of the game for Stepinac, they ran the same play 4 consecutive times, and the Friars were looking for answers. Much better anticipation since.
A loss of 1. Third down and 4 from their own 7-yard line. Carino throws across the middle. He's got Wise, who bobbles the football. Incomplete.
James Arante doing just enough to make sure C.J. Wise did not come down with a third down conversion reception. Arante trailing him by about a step, but hanging on to him. And C.J. Wise and his right arm pulled out from underneath that, and Stepinac will be forced to punt.
Kevin McKenna, the junior, took his first couple of punts last week up in Massachusetts. He stands in the end zone. Murphy waiting for the pigskin. And Stepinac will get a bounce that rolls it up to the 43. So not awful for Stepinac in terms of punting the football, but offensively, they just have not been moving as of late. It has been all Friars here in the second quarter.
Well, after a hurried first, let's say 13 minutes of this game, both teams have kind of settled in. The defenses have found a comfort zone on both sides. And now it's the offense's job to try and respond.
There's Richie Reichert, 32nd season as the head coach. These two go back a long, long way. First and 10 from the 43, right hash. Campese looking to throw. He'll run up in the pocket, and he's free. High hurdles over one, into the secondary and the 22.
You don't get to see it often, but Craig Campese, once he gets into some open field, he's got tremendous speed, good lateral quickness. Takes a couple Stepinac Crusaders to bring him down.
He just loves running in open field, and we've seen it in lacrosse season. He's an LSM, meaning he carries that pole, normally a defensive guy who'll work his way up, not afraid to shoot it, loves going end to end. You can't hold him back. He'll run again. He's got some space on the outside. Campese stopped over at the 15-yard line by Kevin McKenna.
That was interesting. It looked like Campese, after he received the hike, was almost looking back towards the St. Anthony's sideline. It was a little bit delayed, but it almost caught Stepinac sleeping because he had a good amount of running room to his right.
Second down and 2. Here comes the pressure. He'll throw it. It's caught by Parker. Jukes to his left. He's inside of the 10. They got a first down.
Joe Garbowski for Stepinac had slipped right through the offensive line. Parker coming up a little lame after that play. But an excellent job by Campese, sensing the pressure from Garbowski, rolling to the opposite field, and Parker also coming back, making himself known to Campese for the first down.
So back in the red zone for the third time today, but there will be a timeout called by Coach Reichert in St. Anthony's. 4:10 to go here in the half. Friars will get the pigskin to start the second half of action. Well, there's nothing more they would love to do than be able to put some on the board here, take the lead. This is a very important game at this point of the season because of this schedule coming up. And again, it's all about right now making sure that you can get yourself some home games come the postseason time, which comes, blink of an eye. Spalding, and Hayes, Prep, Farrell. I mean, those are really tough teams upcoming.
Yeah, this is really the teeth of their schedule with Stepinac tonight, Spalding out of Maryland, so they hit the road next weekend. Cardinal, Hayes, Iona Prep. So they face 3 of the top 4 teams in the league coming up over the next month. So that'll really go a long way to determining how seeding plays out come postseason time. And obviously St. Anthony's wants to keep their good start going as long as they can.
Mike O'Donnell on the other side told us, listen, nobody wants to play in the first round, whoever you're playing. That is how good this league is. So much parity here in AAA. So 1st and goal from the 8. And this handoff will go outside, and Angus gets to about maybe the 7-yard line or so. We haven't said his name a ton tonight, Kyle Angus. The senior's still coming in as a dual threat from the backfield.
They used him a bit more in the pass game first week. And I think Parker coming back to the lineup allowed them to move him to more of a pass protector. That is where he's really impressed Coach Reichert so far this season, is his ability, especially with the offensive line in flux as it has been, to give Campese a little extra time.
2nd and goal, wide open in the end zone. Touchdown, Jaden Jernigan. Jernigan's first TD of the season, and the Friars have the lead.
Boy, Campese had his pick on that play. They picked the right play with Stepinac sending the house from the left side. He had Angus to look for, he had Jernigan, and a couple of those targets could have resulted in touchdowns, and St. Anthony's grabs the lead for the first time tonight. All 3 scores coming in the 2nd quarter.
And with this 2nd quarter offense rolling, they have enough confidence to go for 2 here. Converted on their last one. Campese looks across the middle, batted away, intended for Randall. The coverage from Corey Richards, the junior. So the 2-point is unsuccessful, but a 6-point lead now for the Friars.
Again, go back to the touchdown play. You see the blitz coming. Wide open. Jernigan about 5 yards deep. Angus was an option as well. Angus was the closest guy to Jernigan when he received it. So just the right play call against the Stepinac blitz coming from that side of the field.
Jernigan, another lacrosse guy whose future already verbal commit to Navy, but listen, he could be a scholarship player going forward in football. He's got the size, he's got the strength, he's got the hands. He's 6'3", 210.
And Richie Reichert said coming into this year he was even more athletic than we anticipated him being. He's taken a big jump. And when you have a 6'3" wide receiver on the outside, that's always a nice target for a senior quarterback.
20 unanswered points for the Friars. And kind of flipping the script here, Matt, you look at last year's AAA championship. Remember, 34 unanswered from Stepinac, but it was a 14-0 lead for St. Anthony's early on. Ball trickles through and then is picked up by Corey Richards, who just made himself a pretty good defensive play. He'll move it up just past the 35. They'll mark him at the 36. So you got 3 minutes remaining, a little more than that. 3 full timeouts, and now you're only trailing by 6, and you're giving up the pigskin in the second half. This is a real important drive for Stepinac.
Yeah, you get that feeling. They'd love to put something together after the way this game started out for them. They were cruising for the first 12 minutes. But all of a sudden, St. Anthony's defense started to figure some things out, getting a little bit more pressure on Carino. Grant has not had as much room to operate.
Carino will just slide his way to the 37-yard line when he saw some pressure. Stepinac, the first couple of possessions here, and again, they opened up that 14-0 lead, where they had 6 first downs. Since then, 1 first down, 2 punts, and the fumble. And that's all here in the second quarter. A different 12 minutes for number 12 and co. 2nd and 8 from their own 38. Grant gets the number again. Here goes Malik Grant down the seams and past the 40-yard line.
And that is what makes Malik Grant so dangerous. On any given play, he can absolutely break one. He's got power, he's got speed, he's a tough tackle. And getting into plus territory with 2.5 to go.
from the 41. Carino dropping back, floats one to the right side. It was actually over the middle, and it looked like some miscommunication there as Eugene Boyd might have been the intended target.
Carino looks a little confounded after that one. Looking back to the sideline to try and figure out what happened on that play.
Well, an issue that Mike O'Donnell has had so far with this offense, at least, was finishing. They've been able to move the football pretty well, but they haven't been able to finish in the red zone. It worked through the first couple of trips. Non-existent as of late. Grant is anything but non-existent to the 25-yard line.
Early in the game, it was running behind the right side of the line. Last couple of big runs for Grant, it's been the left side of the line between Cornelius and Prince. So much room that these guys are creating in the gaps. A little extra love tap from Jamel Joyner there. He's fortunate he didn't get a flag after that.
From the 25, 1st and 10. Carino goes left. He's got a little bit of open room. He does down that left side and runs out of bounds. Right at the 11.
Earlier on this drive, we saw him slide with some room in front of him. This time, Carino eyed the sticks. He was running for a first down the entire time. And that gives them a fresh set of downs.
4th trip to the red zone. Grant brings a couple of bodies forward.
Took 3 St. Anthony's defenders to bring him down, including Christian Taylor. Middle linebacker, the son of offensive coordinator Chris Taylor for St. Anthony's.
Timeout called, and it will be against St. Anthony's. Looked like they were trying to get Will Fitzgerald out there, and that was the miscommunication. Well, real tough start to this season for Mike O'Donnell's squad at 1-2, but you look at their schedule so far and the games they ended up playing. 2 of them have been on the road, and that at Xaverian. That's Xaverian Brothers of Massachusetts, not in the city. They took a couple of pretty good trips, one at home and up to Iona Prep, which is a game that everyone was talking about, that overtime loss. They had a lead, and they had a chance to win multiple times. And then the loss to a very good Xaverian Brothers team up in Massachusetts, which each and every year, they're usually in the running for a state title.
And again, 4 total points combined between the 2 losses. So this team is a couple of bounces away from being 3-0 as opposed to 1-2. And coming into here with a matchup of 2 3-0 teams.
As he said, the kids are disappointed, but they're still pretty confident in themselves. Only 0-1 in league. No reason to panic for the team that has reached the AAA championship the last 4 seasons, winning 3 of those, including last year's state championship. Here they have a 2nd down and 5 from the 6. Wise fakes the motion. Carino takes the carry and keeps moving the legs, but eventually his progress is stopped around the 3.
I mean, Carino's ability to continue moving after contact, and Jamel Joyner getting into things a little bit again with the Stepinac defense. But we saw earlier in this game, right on their own goal line, Carino got a big 8 yards in traffic. Got about 3 there. Looks like St. Anthony's going to use their last time out.
There'll be a 3rd down and 1 upcoming. Okay, make sure you stay tuned here on News 12 Varsity. We'll have plenty of coverage for you throughout halftime. We'll hear from Amanda Puglisi, who will check down with the sidelines. And these 2 programs, while St. Anthony's has been the staple of all of AAA, and that is well known with as many championships as they've had, this has been the last couple of years all Stepinac, really, except for that 2016 game, which Stepinac still lost in the championship that very season.
And Stepinac, as we talked about last year, in the championship game, coming back from down 14-0. So, and it's only been since 2011 because Stepinac bumped up from the AA to the AAA. But it's really made this league as a whole more competitive, with Hayes bringing up, with Iona Prep, and of course St. Anthony's, the longtime favorite in AAA.
And now the Crusaders want to talk it over. Well, you have a little more than a half a minute remaining. You need at least 6 points here. I mean, this is 4-down territory anyway, but you need at least 6 points here. And you're going to give up the pigskin to start the third quarter. Got to make the right play. There's no question.
Well, I don't know if you need the 6 points. I mean, the way that this offense has put things together in the first quarter, there's confidence there. So if you're going to the locker room down by 3, it's not the worst thing in the world. You obviously want to come away with points here, but I don't know if you need 6.
Yeah, these are the reigning state champions. Of course they need it. Well, we also need something, and it's a fix. It's called the Football Fix. Every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. on Channel 61, News 12 Varsity. We'll go around the Tri-State, bring you some of the best coverage, our plays of the week, players of the week, and teams of the week. 3rd and 1 from the 3. Malik Grant gets that 6. His second touchdown of the night. Tie game.
Once Malik Grant made his first move, there was no way anybody was stopping him. A nice welcome back for Malik Grant. 2 touchdowns in the opening half. And now Stepinac a point after away from regaining the lead.
He had 2 runs of over 20 yards. As Henderson up and good just inside the left upright. The lead returns for the visitors, 21-20, and still 30 seconds to play.
Oh, this is exactly what you would have wanted between these two teams when you see it on the schedule Friday night. 1-point game with just seconds to go before the half.
Offensively for Stepinac this season, this is a group that's still on the ground through their first 3, has been averaging about 250 a game. And that's only with Grant essentially having 9 carries for 67 yards. A very dynamic offense that can run behind one of the top offensive lines you will see in the Empire State.
I know that Coach O'Donnell talked about how frustrating of an early portion of the season it's been for Malik Grant. So you know there's not too many happier guys on the sideline right now. The number 4 in white.
Well, picked up from the 16-yard line. Parker jukes 2. He'll be up to the 37. Some pushing after the play. Upfield. No flags. So you still have a little more than 20 seconds remaining. You're out of timeouts, though. Do you even take a shot?
I'd imagine because they get the ball back at halftime or in the second half, they'll probably go conservative here. But you never know. Maybe they take one shot downfield. What makes me think they won't is that even with the way that they've scored, there's not been a ton of time for Campese to sit back in the pocket and try and sling balls downfield.
Their own 37. And they're running from the shotgun. Trips right, 1 to the left. Who's Randall? Angus at the right hip. Belt high. Runs up in the pocket. Flag on the play. Parker incomplete. Bounced right off his chest. And it's a holding penalty.
Well, now I would think they would probably kneel it out for the final 16 seconds. Took one shot, didn't work, went the other way.
So Campese gets under center, drops down to the knee, and the clock will run out. So the Friars will get the ball in the third quarter. They scored 20 points unanswered here in the second. However, it is Stepinac who comes away with 7 in the final minute of play. Second touchdown rushing for Malik Grant, and a 21-20 lead.
Well, a seesaw first half for both teams. Stepinac jumped out early. Great welcome back for Malik Grant, a huge first series for him. He finishes with 2 touchdowns in the first half, but St. Anthony's came back, took a 20-14 lead. And Stepinac scores that late touchdown with a point after to gain a 1-point advantage.
Exactly the type of game we expected. A close one, hard-hitting, touchdowns galore. Stay with us. Second half is coming up next, live on Channel 61, News 12 Varsity. A gorgeous fall night here from Cy Donnelly Field on Long Island. St. Anthony's and Stepinac. It's the Crusaders with a 21-20 lead here at halftime. And Matt, that first half, there were tons and tons of highlights, but a lot of them using those legs from Malik Grant.
Yeah, Stepinac got the ball first, and Malik Grant let everybody know he was ready to be back off the first play from scrimmage. Later in the drive, he put Stepinac on the board. It was a 14-yard touchdown run for Malik Grant. Moments later, that run continued to just open things up for everybody else. Joey Carino runs it in, and Stepinac was up 14-0. But eventually, St. Anthony's found their stride. Greg Campese finding Parker to get St. Anthony's on the board, and then the defense would come alive. Xavier Green forced the fumble. Nick Espada picks it up. That gives St. Anthony's some short field for another Campese to Parker connection. They had missed the point after earlier, so they go for 2. Campese finding who else but Parker one more time. That tied it up at 14. Then St. Anthony's would take the lead. Jernigan wide open in the end zone. They missed the PAT, made it 20-14, and moments before the end of the first half, Malik Grant adds his second touchdown of the game. It's 21-20, Stepinac at halftime.
This is going to be some third and fourth quarter upcoming. AAA action here in the CHSFL. It is always fun. But next week, we get a chance to move around the tri-state. Little Section 1 action. It's the Yorktown Huskers and Clarkstown South Vikings, of course, live here on Channel 61, News 12 Varsity, News12Varsity.com, and the News 12 Varsity app.
And it's odd to be talking about it down here on Long Island and in the Catholic League, but in Section 1 and the rest of New York State and the public schools, you're already keeping an eye on the postseason. It's not that far away, and both these teams a big game for postseason seeding.
Well, stay with us. There's still plenty more to come here on halftime. Amanda Puglisi has a special guest when we return, and then we'll kick off the third quarter. It's coming up next on News 12 Varsity. Well, anytime we roll the truck out, you never know what kind of guest Amanda is going to find roaming the sidelines. Here she is with a special one.
Oh, and it's a special one indeed. Jordan Gowans, he was a Friar, you're now a Seawolf, and now you're back in Friar country. It's been a while, but I mean, St. Anthony's must always feel like home for you.
Yeah, it was definitely a warm welcoming. As soon as I stepped foot on the track, Brother Gary greeted me. It was great to be back.
You know, people are greeting you. They're coming up to me saying you would love to do an interview, but what were you and some of your teammates talking about and some of your friends on the sideline while you're watching this game?
Just how different it is. We feel old standing on the sideline watching these kids do what we were doing 4 or 5 years ago, so it's kind of surreal.
It was an impressive second quarter by Greg Campese and the Friars, so what did you think of that one?
It's nice to see that the high-powered offense is still going. I was getting flashbacks of when we were on the field, and we were seeing Greg Gallagher do the same thing that he's doing now, so it's great to see.
What are some of your favorite memories when you think back to your time at St. Anthony's and high school football?
Probably winning the championship, because that's what you play for at the end of the day, and it's something that you can share with your teammates, and it's better than the individual awards.
winning a championship is always fun. But now what's ahead for you tomorrow? I know you had an off night tonight. A big game tomorrow for Stony Brook.
Yeah, we have a top 15 game against Nova, so it'll be a tough one. We're not favorites to win this game, so we got a little fire under us, and we're looking forward to it.
Obviously, there's a big difference between high school football and college football, but how did Coach Reichert prepare you for that next level?
Well, football is all mindset, and I feel like here they did a good job of generating a good mindset within their kids. And when I left here, the transition from high school to college wasn't hard. I was already prepared for it school-wise, and I was definitely prepared for it on the field-wise as well.
All right, Jordan, I know you're a popular guy. A lot of people coming over want to say hello, so we'll let you get going. Thank you and good luck tomorrow.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, guys, back to you.
Matt, Goins has not changed, by the way, in terms of some of his statistics that he has had in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, and he's really come on of late. He's got close to 600 yards rushing through 4 games in the season. Stony Brook 3-1. They're only lost to an FCS team or FBS team in Air Force, but they're 3-0 in FCS, and like I said, got a top 15 team in Villanova coming in tomorrow. And but Jordan Gallants is doing his thing that he was doing here at St. Anthony's and Stony Brook, especially this year in his senior season.
And don't forget, he's watching a future Seawolf himself. But on the other side of the field, Sean Harris, who just recently committed to go play for Stony Brook, happened this past Sunday on his grandmother's birthday. So 21-20 is the score. Stepinac has the lead. We'll get you that third quarter. It's coming up in just a couple of minutes, we promise. But there's plenty of action right here for us watching during the halftime show. We'll be right back on News 12 Varsity. Friday Night Lights and plenty of people in the stands out here watching the CHSFL AAA action. Stepinac and St. Anthony's. Well, what did Mike O'Donnell have to say after that first half? AP?
Well, Dan, he wasn't really surprised when Greg Campese marched St. Anthony's down the field multiple times, scoring 20 unanswered points. He told me, look, we know Campese is really good. We need to try to contain him in the second half. But as we talked about at the beginning of the show, Coach O'Donnell is so happy to have Malik Grant and having that answer to put the Stepinac Crusaders back up on top at halftime. He says if it's even possible, we're going to try to get Grant the ball even more in the second half. And right after Grant scored his second touchdown of the day, I was right on the sideline. He came up to me and he said, man, that is the greatest feeling in the world. I asked him how's his ankle feeling. He said he's ready to go and score some more touchdowns.
Amanda and Dan, first drive of the game, they only went to Grant. They got away from him a little bit. Obviously, you want your offense to be balanced, and I think that's probably the key thing for Mike O'Donnell in terms of this offense moving forward into the second half is can they find a balance? Obviously, you don't want to overtax Malik Grant coming back from the ankle injury. First game back, you want to make sure that he is good to go for the rest of the season, obviously. But can they strike that balance and giving him enough carries where he can become very effective like he was in the first quarter of this game?
Yeah, he definitely was a game changer early on in this contest, and they did lose it from him. Once you started getting some stops there, it was a completely different contest. And Mike O'Donnell knows a thing or two about coaching football. We know that. I mean, these are two coaches that have a combined more than 60-plus years of coaching experience. They both have been in this league for more than 3 decades. And while Mike O'Donnell's future is still, very bright going forward, Rich Reichert is ending at the end of this year, going out on his own terms, wants to call it quits at this point, one more season. But these are two guys who have been really the epitome of what this entire conference is being all about. Not just being a good football coach, building good character guys, but just being good human beings as well.
Yeah, and they both speak very highly of each other, as you would imagine, having coached against each other for so long. But two good friends off the field. And I'm sure it'll be weird for everybody that is outside of St. Anthony's to see St. Anthony's on the opposite sideline next year and have Coach Minucci as the head coach versus Coach Reichert.
Between the two, the amount of wins are up there, and we know that. I mean, Reichert is number 3 all-time in Long Island in wins, with the plenty of names that go up and down that list. Hall of Fame coaches, up the wazoo. But you look at some of the Reichert wins over the last number of years. That's 262, looking for 263. Look at some of those names on there. Those are all legendary household names.
Of course, Buddy Krummenacher still coaching at Farmingdale. Coach Flatley still involved with the Garden City program, just not the head coach. Of course, led by Howie Votes out of Bethpage in terms of Long Island victories.
Well, here we go. Third quarter. Pigskin on the pylon, fresh 12 minutes on the clock. Crusaders from right to left. It's Nate Henderson to kick it off in their all white road uniforms, and we're underway here in the second half. And it's pulled in by number 20, John DeFrancisco, who picks up only a few yards, and they'll mark him at the 35.
Interesting to see how this St. Anthony's offense will come out. They made some adjustments latter part of that first quarter, and now they've had a bit more time to talk things over and figure things out and how to defend this defense that was not giving Campisi any room to work with through the first quarter. He was hurried, he was rushed. They found ways to get him moving and out in some space in the second quarter. Can they keep that up?
He's already tossed 3 touchdown passes. 2 to Parker, 1 to Jernigan. Here he has an empty backfield, and
there's going to be too many men.
Grant Guilford, the tight end, trying to get off in time. So not the kind of start you want on your 8th drive of the game. 1st and 15, showing blitz to Stepinac. Campisi, here he goes up the middle, looks to the outside after breaking a few tackles. Past the 30, past the 25. Designed run for number 11, and it's a huge gain.
That was one of those perfect timing on the call. You see the blitz coming from the weak side. Campisi knew he was running away from that. Then once he get past the line of scrimmage, he's able to cut back to the other side, and that cutback, tremendous, so fast.
"46-yard pickup. They'll go to Angus. Spins around 2 tackles and grabs 5.
We talked about it in the first half. They wanted Greg Campisi to become more involved in the offense. Take the ball, carry it more if it was possible. And the big play puts St. Anthony's back in business at the start of this third quarter.
Entering into this contest, he was just shy of 200 yards on 24 carries, still 3 touchdowns. Empty backfield. Randall to the left, 3 on the right. Quick look to Angus, who reels it in. Stiff arms, and now gets pushed backwards. Tons of white jerseys surrounding him. Dexter Chance had his chance. And then if he didn't, he was laying on the ground there, just grab his legs as much as you can. That slowed down the rush from Angus putting up any more damage.
Well, Parker was out on the edge blocking. And the way the blocking scheme was, and Angus cut back inside, closer to the numbers, he might have had some running room.
So just like that, 3rd down and 12. And they also have not converted on a 3rd down tonight.
Both teams have struggled on 3rd downs this evening.
3-step drop. Here's the pressure. He throws. It's caught by Randall. It will be short. And it brings it to the 19-yard line. Now, again, they don't feel confident in their kicking game. This will be a 36-yarder, so you know they're going.
For sure. They've attempted 1 point after.
Two for 3 on 4th down drives. And both of those converted on the very same possession that led to their first TD. 4th and 5 from the 19. Empty backfield. 5 wide. Pressure from the edge. Throws. It's caught by Angus. He's got the first down. Boy, Brendan Wilkins was coming right off the edge. Still got it over his arms to number 2 to pick up and move the sticks.
What a great adjustment by Angus. It was thrown a little bit behind him. And he was able, and I don't know why they blew the whistle there. I guess they said forward progress was stopped.
1st and 10 from the 11-yard line. Gets out of a sack. Campese way back from the 25. He heaves it up. It's caught by Jernigan.
Are they going to rule Campese down?
I don't know how.
That's the second consecutive play that forward progress is questionable at best.
Boy, Campese is irate, and he's got a pretty good reason why.
100%, Dan. 100%. This is just Campese working with his legs, doing everything he can. And where are they calling the forward progress stop? He wasn't down there. He was getting tugged from behind. If that's a sack, I don't know what to tell you.
Well, a questionable call wipes away 6 and now makes it a 2nd and long.
So an offense that could be inside the 10 now between the last 2 plays are now looking at 3rd and long near the 30.
Across the middle. It's pulled in. Randall. There's the 6.
Well, you talk about composure when something goes against you. Greg Campese, after that last play, was pleading with the officials, wondering why the progress had been stopped. How does he respond? He steps up into the pocket, finds Greg Randall on a slant, and puts St. Anthony's back on top.
This will be their 3rd consecutive 2-point attempt. Campese throws right. Incomplete. But the lead returns for the Friars on their first drive of the 3rd quarter. Greg Randall, his 2nd touchdown reception of the season.
And Randall gets a hug as soon as he crosses the goal line. You know, Campese is a senior quarterback. He puts a ton of pressure on himself. A lot of internal drive. And with his team down after getting a couple bad calls back to back, he does what you expect a senior quarterback to do.
Has always been just a different breed of QB, which is why when you come in as a JV replacement 2 years ago and you go 5-0 as a starter, it's not that surprising. Making that kind of call, going down to a JV guy who's only a sophomore, is not that crazy of a call. Rich Reichert knew that. They wanted to use him as much as they possibly can, but that whole play right there and that whole sequence, that just shows you the maturity of this group, because they could have let those 2 situations really get to them. Joyner will pick it up. Chance.
And it shows perhaps the mental edge that this team has, right? Last year, they couldn't quite stop the snowball that was Stepinac in the championship game. Those 34 unanswered points. Now they're dealt a rough hand, and they manage to respond and rebound.
Stepinac's big second quarter during that championship. Then they couldn't have an answer for Trill Williams, who had multiple interceptions. This guy had some touchdowns too, Malik Grant.
Well, you heard Amanda reference it in her conversation with Mike O'Donnell at halftime. They want to get him more involved. 2 touchdowns in the first half. Carry on their first play from scrimmage in the second.
15-yard pickup, and Grant again is stopped right in the middle of the field. James Urante, the safety.
And that really was when Stepinac's offense was at their best. Their offensive line was opening up holes, and Grant would hit them hard and then get plenty of yards beyond that.
Grant again, this time stopped by Samir Graggy, the junior who's starting at defensive tackle for Matthew Stetz, who is out with an injury.
Christian Taylor there as well, wrestler and also plays rugby. So super physical presence.
So second first down on this drive from the 35-yard line of the Friars. Grant has the ball, stutter steps, and only gets back to the line of scrimmage after avoiding the tackle by Costanzo, but Alvarado was there to stop.
And Alvarado wondering what was going on with Costanzo too. He seemed to take like a baseball type slide approaching Malik Grant. I don't know if he thought Grant didn't have the ball after that play fake by Carino.
Just a hair inside the 35. And very reminiscent of the first quarter. Except this time the Crusaders are trailing. Carino will throw, looking end zone. Incomplete, and the flag. 6-on-6 crime looking for Harris, but Makai Murphy for PI.
Yeah, it's gonna go against Murphy, and I think if you're looking at this, the only reason we're gonna get the pass interference is because Murphy had his right hand on the shoulder of Sean Harris, but Murphy played this ball really well, had his eyes on the ball the whole time, jumped up and played the ball, and I think that's why they get it. But honestly, seeing it the first time and then seeing it there, it seemed fairly clean with the way that the ball was thrown. You know, if Murphy's got his head turned around and he's only looking at Sean Harris, then that's a much easier call to make. But Murphy had great positional defense. If anything, it's probably the ball was a little underthrown and he had to come back for it with Harris.
So it gets them back to the red zone, exactly from the 20. And Malik Grant is sandwiched between 2 defenders inside of the 5-yard line.
My poor Nick Alvarado. He's giving up 30 pounds to Malik Grant in the secondary, and he might have the most individual tackles against Grant today.
First and goal from the 5. Grant leaps forward. He's short.
I mean, that shows you the strength of Grant. Samir Graggy had him wrapped up at the 5. He was right on his hip.
Second and goal, Carino pushing forward with that big offensive line. Does he cross the plane? Yes, he does. The lead is back for Stepinac.
We've seen it a few times today. Carino is tremendous when it comes to following his blockers, especially in tight. Able to get over the goal line there. And all set up by the pass interference penalty called against Makai Murphy.
Henderson perfect again. So it's 6 minutes to go here in this third quarter. That entire sequence all done by Malik Grant, capped off by their QB. And actually, he did lose the pigskin. We didn't even notice that from our angle. That's great camera work.
Yeah, that's advancing a fumble.
So his second touchdown run of the day. The lead is 2. And since that 20-point second quarter, we've had 4 different lead changes. This is the kind of fun you were expecting for Friday Night Football?
That's what you would hope. They don't always play out like this. Sometimes you see a big game on the schedule and one team gets off to a big start and the other team can never bounce back, but St. Anthony's was able to bounce back tonight. A sort of understated part of this game, though, St. Anthony's, their special teams, they've had some trouble, and that's the difference right now.
Henderson line drive and out of bounds. So do you take the yards or you go for the re-kick? I think you take the yards.
That's what it looks like.
They'll start from the 35-yard line. Already both teams scoring on their first 2 drives of the second. Excuse me, of the second half, should specify, in this third quarter. Right hash mark. 2 receivers to the right, 1 to the left. Campese throws, and through the hands of Murphy. We haven't said his name a ton offensively. That was a pretty good look he just missed.
I'm sure he would like to make up for the pass interference call on the defensive side of the ball. One thing I think St. Anthony's has to keep an eye on, and it's part of the reason for some of these quick passes, is if you watch every time that St. Anthony's has snapped the ball in the second half, the guys coming off the edge are almost coming in untouched. So Campese has to get rid of the ball in a hurry.
Second down, here comes the pressure from the outside. Quick throw on the run. It's caught by Murphy this time as he's pushed right out of bounds at the 41.
So what they're doing now is they only have 3 down linemen, but they're bringing 2 additional defensive ends off the edge. So it's creating pressure, and it's creating some confusion on the offensive line of St. Anthony's also, because the offensive linemen aren't sure who to pick up. So, as we have somebody down for Stepinac here.
It's Dexter Chance, who's well in the secondary, just being stretched out.
We'll take a look last year at the last regular season meeting between these 2 teams. Up at Stepinac, first quarter, Sean Harris, a 39-yard touchdown reception. That made it 7-0 later on in the second. Connor Ryan, 1-yard touchdown catch, ties it up at 1 between St. Anthony's and Stepinac. 4 in the second quarter here. Alex Thomas again, 65-yard catch and run on a screen over the middle. That put the Crusaders up by a touchdown, 14-7 at that point. But they were not done. Tyler Winston, 14-yard touchdown catch over the middle. 2-score lead for Stepinac, 21-7. St. Anthony's would battle back. Greg Campese, the scramble 5-yard keeper, 21-13 at that point. Later on in the third, Trill Williams, 19-yard touchdown run from the Wildcat. 38-19 is the final for Stepinac. So Mike O'Donnell going 2-0 last year against his coaching counterpart in Rich Riker.
Chance still being tended to. Back on their own 40-yard line now, getting helped up. He'll walk off with just a little bit of assistance. That's a senior outside linebacker. He's a 2-year starter. Played a ton last year, more than 50 tackles. Would be a pretty big loss in this contest if Chance cannot return. So we'll have a 3rd down and 4. And remember, this team has not converted on 3rd downs yet. Bell tie, Campese, cross the middle. Murphy makes the catch right at the sticks, lunges forward, and will get 2 more yards. 6-yard pickup for number 6.
And again, what I was saying on this last play is Stepinac is only sending 3 down linemen. They're rushing 2 from the outside edge. So that creates some confusion on the offensive line for St. Anthony's, so it forces Campese to get rid of it in even quicker fashion.
Campese bounces right across midfield. Tackle made by Richards, the junior. Campese's been taking plenty of carries today, and of course, when we spoke to Coach Reichert, he did bring up wanting to use a little bit more with him, not just on the scrambles, but some designed runs. We've seen a little bit of both this evening, and it has been a game changer.
He's had 24 carries through 3 games coming into this, so that's what, about 7-8 carries a game. And he's probably over that already through 2.5 quarters.
It's more like 5-6 carries a drive.
Yeah. Kevin McKenna looked like he had a helmet issue, so he's going off.
Now bring out Divine Cushney, a junior who has had some time off the bench.
And St. Anthony's looking a little confused offensively at the moment.
Campese thought about taking a timeout, does not. Takes the snap. Play action, cross the middle. It's bobbled by Parker.
Boy, that was a roller coaster sequence for St. Anthony's, from the confusion prior to the snap to the defense clustering around Campese to looking like a really horrible throw in the middle of some white jerseys, then Parker almost coming up with a tremendous catch and then an incomplete. Had a little bit of everything from the St. Anthony side.
So the Friars from the 49 of Stepinac. They'll look for back-to-back 3rd down conversions. Campese has some trouble. Now here comes the pressure on the outside. Throws. Does Murphy have it? Or was it short hop? No, it's caught.
But still about a yard and a half short.
Well, that was nearly intercepted on the near side of the field. Somehow Murphy was able to snag it. Three for 4 on these 4th downs. It's a nice catch. 4th and 2, and they got it. Joe Garbowski, as well as Dougie Simmons, both jumping early on the left side.
Well, much like special teams and kicking has been problematic for St. Anthony's tonight, the penalties for Stepinac are adding up. Fresh set of downs for the Friars.
One of the longest drives we have seen in the game in terms of tempo. They send 5, flicks it over to the left side for Angus. Angus down the far sideline, taken out by McKenna at the 23.
Well, that as a defense is one thing that you do open yourself up to, right? If you're consistently sending 5 guys towards the quarterback, somebody is going to be open. And this time, It's Kyle Angus. Little lofted pass, and Angus able to get himself a first down.
Played a little more slot receiver last year. Very comfortable with catching the pigskin. First and 10, 24-yard line. Campese, here goes with the legs. Down the outside, gets the block from Murphy. And he's right around the 5 where he's bumped out of bounds.
Tremendous job by the right side of the offensive line. Buying Campese enough time.
He has been the epitome of a dual-threat quarterback tonight. The rushing numbers adding up throughout the course of these 3 quarters. Throws left, Murphy. And another wide receiver to the TDs.
Well, they brought the blitz off that side. Campese recognized that right away. And because the blitz coming from there and Campese going to that side, Makai Murphy was wide open.
5th touchdown thrown by Greg Campese tonight. 4-point lead. 2-point attempt to make it a 6-point game. They converted their first 2-point attempt, have failed their last few. Campese looks right. He's got Parker. He crosses the plane. A successful 2-point conversion, and the lead is 6.
Again, on the blitz, they sent Zach Barnes, a linebacker, and Dominic Nicolo was kind of caught in between. And St. Anthony's made them pay. So it's one thing that Campese has done incredibly well tonight. Struggled early on with the pressure that Stepinac was bringing, but he seems to have figured out how to handle it. And it's really coming from having to make really quick decisions.
This has turned into a seesaw affair. 6 different lead changes in the contest. 14-0 lead vanishes. The 20 unanswered. And then since then, they have been trading touchdowns. 2.5 minutes to play, and Makai Murphy becomes the 4th different wide receiver for St. Anthony's to pull one in and grab a TD. Now can somebody get a stop here in the 3rd quarter?
Not had one yet.
From the 11, Wise will flip the field, and he's got some blocks. CJ Wise taken out right past the 35, and there's going to be some flags on this play. And some players having to be pulled apart. No love lost between these 2 groups. And it's a holding penalty against the Crusaders.
And they have been heavily penalized tonight.
So we'll back him up to the 27-yard line. Ninth drive of the game. Friar fans chanting defense, defense. This time, Carino throws and overshoots Wise, who was on the run.
Yeah, but I think if you ask Wise, he would say he should have had that one.
So 2nd and 10 from their own 27. Two receivers left, one to the right. Wise motions right. Right into the chest of Grant, who slips through two tackles and a third. Grant throws on the brakes and is wrapped up by Alvarado. That could have been so much more dangerous for the Friar defense.
Alvarado's got to be saying, guys, you guys need to wrap him up before he gets to me. He's done such a great job coming from the secondary. His tackling is so sure-handed.
3rd down and 7. Carino on the run. Incomplete. Intended for Boyd.
And 21 in black again, this time making a stop in the passing game. He's been so key for St. Anthony's defense tonight. And Dan, you're wondering which defense would come up with a stop. St. Anthony's forces a 3 and out with 1:43 to go in the third.
Only the 3rd punt of the contest for Stepinac. Murphy back to receive. McKenna picks it up off the ground. High kick picked up from the 33. Murphy gets tripped up right at the 35-yard line. Well, I'm not sure if maybe Jaden Jenkins put a little pressure on him, or he just tripped over his own 2 feet.
I think a little turf monster got him. And he's shaking his head because he knows that there was some good daylight in front of him.
Oh, yeah. So first time we've seen a stop here in the 3rd quarter, and now a little more than 90 seconds to play of this 3rd frame. St. Anthony's from their own 37-yard line. Two receivers right, one to the left. Campese will look to the arm. Tosses it far side and reeled in. Inside of the numbers, it's Greg Randall. Randall past the 30, past the 25. Spins his way up to the 12.
The confidence that this offense is playing with now, that might have been the best job that this offensive line has done tonight. Randall and then Parker downfield with him, buying him an extra 7-8 yards. St. Anthony's is in business.
Literally flipped the field with a 50-yard pickup. And just like that, they're back in the red zone. And by the way, a perfect 5 for 5 there. All TD passes. On the ground. And recovered by Parker for a loss.
Not sure what the intention was there. If that was supposed to be a direct snap to Parker, it was a low snap, whoever was supposed to receive it. And Parker did a good job just to maintain the possession, because that thing was rolling towards his ankles.
A little bit of trouble tonight with some of these snaps. So now 2nd and 16. He'll throw right, looking for Randall, right through the hands. Richards on the coverage, and the clock will stop with 26 to go in the 3rd. Long 3rd down.
Player going off for Stepinac. Trying to see who it is from all the way across the field here. I think it's Sunil Fong, one of the defensive ends.
3rd and 16 from the 20. Belt high, gets the blocks. Now Campese runs right. Another block, tiptoes down the sideline. He'll be short of the 1st. Let's see where they spot this. About 5 shy.
Kyle Angus kept this play from being complete trouble for St. Anthony's. Kevin McKenna was coming in on a blitz, and he came in through the offensive line, no problem. Kyle Angus stepped up and threw in the block where it was needed. And it looks like St. Anthony's is going to go for a field goal here.
28-yard attempt. Silvio Lasardo, 0 for 2 on field goals this season. Ball's down, laces to the front, right between the two yellow bars. 3 big points on the board for the senior Silvio Lasardo.
And he is pumped. You know, after missing the point after, couple point afters earlier in the game, they've gone away from it. Plenty of leg behind that kick. And it gives St. Anthony's their largest lead tonight and makes it a 2-score game.
Now he's holding on to that football right now. That's really the kickoff, but let's just pretend it was his field goal. That's after missing 2 last week in their win at Christ the King, 26-7. That kicking game can completely change the dynamic, and now this kind of turns a little bit more. Those are 3 big points on the board, extending this lead. You don't have to worry as much of that 2-point conversion. You still do, but not as much. Also gives yourself a little confidence. Maybe Rich Reichard's thinking a little bit differently going forward. So with 12 seconds to play here in the third, 9-point lead for St. Anthony's. As Lasardo will skip it up on the carpet, takes a high bounce. Grabbed by Richards. Richards spins around to the far side. Corey Richards knocked out of bounds in front of his own bench. Good field position up at the 44.
So on their last drive, Stepinac went 3 and out. That's the only defensive stand that we've had through this third quarter. You imagine they go right back to number 4. Malik Grant, in his return from an ankle injury, has been spectacular and looked very strong tonight.
From the 44, here is number 4. And is met by number 54, Costanzo. Jamel Joyner also in on the tackle. And that's the end of 3 frames. Well, St. Anthony's took the lead. They gave it up, but now they got a 9-point advantage. Back and forth contest here in Huntington. Stay with us. Fourth quarter is upcoming on News 12 Varsity. We start the fourth quarter, and Stepinac trails by their largest deficit tonight, 9. There's some big boys enjoying the night as Harris takes a little flip pass to the outside, and it will be a loss. It's got to be something that every player on the field, no matter how many times you do it, Matt, you play under the lights, you got the cameras on top of you. This is the stuff you dream of as a young boy to play football on Friday night.
Yeah, these are easy games to get up for, obviously. I mean, you got all that around, but also rematch of a championship game. St. Anthony's putting their perfect record on the line. Stepinac has come in losing back-to-back games for the first time since 2016. And another penalty on the Crusaders.
False start. Well, Donald's asking on who? So third down backs them up 5 to a 3rd and 15. Shotgun formation, as both quarterbacks have been for the majority of the day. Carino has plenty of time in this pocket. He'll run up ahead. Cross midfield. Jukes a couple of tackles. Is stopped by Joyner.
He's a couple of yards shy, Dan.
And Alvarado's grabbing his wrist, but shakes it off. Never a good sign when you see a player grab the wrist. 4th down coming.
I thought we could have got a block in the back on this as well. If you look once onto 91 there, as Diol got pushed from behind.
4th and 1, and Friar Nation gets loud. Grant. Hit by Aranti.
And
where's the spot?
Here, it looks short. Grant is saying he got it. That looks like a pretty positive spot. Wow.
It's short. Turnover on downs.
Huge stop by Costanzo. They're not even going to bring the chains out.
Aranti slows him down, then Costanzo there to help.
Well, if you're Mike O'Donnell and Stepinac, you need a yard. Malik Grant is about as close to a sure thing as you can get.
A play that has worked essentially all night.
Perhaps they went to the well one too many times. But this defense is starting to believe in themselves. Back-to-back stops for the St. Anthony's Friars defense in this second half now.
From their own 47. Designed run for number 11. Campese turning on the Jets and moving those legs close to the sticks.
And the contrast from the way this defense has played from the first quarter to now. Stepinac came out with a game plan, and St. Anthony's, at least from the looks of it, did not seem ready for it. But they adjusted quickly, figured things out, dug themselves out of a 2-score hole, and looked like a completely different team in this second half.
2nd and 2 in Crusader real estate. Pressure on the edge. It's picked up. Campese throws, looking for Randall. Incomplete. And fans asking for pass interference, which would have been maybe a little too weak.
It was underthrown ball. Tough to make the argument there, unless you're wearing black and yellow.
That was Jamel Fleming, the junior, on the coverage. So 3rd down and just 2 yards. 9-point lead, and the type of drive you just want to kill off this clock. Campese throws. It is caught on the outside by Randall. That moves the pylons.
St. Anthony's playing really smart offensive football right now. They took a chance downfield on 2nd and short. Knew they'd have another chance at it if they didn't convert. When guys are catching it out on the edge, they're staying inside the sidelines now, not running to the sideline, as the clock can wind once the ball is set.
So they've moved those markers twice on this drive and have also dwindled this clock down to 9 minutes. From the 36. Campese right up the middle. Touchdown, 36 yards.
Well, he's had a bunch through the air tonight. Why not add one more, but with his feet? Greg Campese. It took a little while to develop, but once he broke through the middle of the line, looked like he had his mind made up. He was getting to the end zone.
6th total touchdown for captain Greg Campese. 5 in the air, 1 with his legs. Two-point conversion upcoming. DeFrancisco at the right hip. Check that, it was Estrado. Campese looks left, jump ball, and Parker's got it. That's his 3rd two-point conversion tonight.
It's a pretty unusual stat.
A touchdown and 3 two-point conversions.
2-point conversions.
45-28.
Campese, really great job of going sideline to sideline with his eyes. This is the touchdown using his legs. Cut back to his right. We've seen a couple times. His lateral movement this evening has been fantastic. And then on the two-point conversion, initially looked to his right. Things were kind of breaking down around him. He throws up a jump ball. Parker, a great job going up and getting it. He's earned that water.
The last time that St. Anthony's won a championship in AAA, there wasn't one guy on this roster who was in high school. 2013 was the last title, a win over Chaminade. One appearance since. And for the last 4 years, all the team wearing white with the red helmets. This is grabbed by Nicolo, who gets a very short gain, only at the 35-yard line. 8:44 to play here in the fourth, and if you're just joining us, well, I suggest that you should have DVR'd it, or just watch the replay when it goes on news12varsity.com, because you have missed a very, very good football game on this Friday evening. First and 10 from the 35. Carino scrambles in that pocket. Now he's got some open space. Up the seas, slides down to the 40. "25-yard pickup for the junior quarterback. Carino with his arm to the left. It's pulled in just outside of the numbers by Eugene Boyd. That's his first grab this evening.
So the junior Carino trying to put his team on his back after Campisi's done it all night for St. Anthony's. Still lots of time for Stepinac to recover.
Carino across the middle. Cut. Nicolo. Touchdown.
Boy, that happened in a hurry. And Stepinac will leave the offense out there to go for two. Joey Carino right over the middle. As Nicolo kind of got lost in the coverage.
That took just 40 seconds off the clock.
I take it back. It looked like they were staying out for two.
Henderson's PAT. And I think Angus jumped early on the, Kai Murphy jumped early on the outside. No flag on the play. We've been talking all day of what the opposition QB, Campisi, has been doing, using his legs and his arm. Well, how about a lacrosse player who's also the quarterback on the other side? And he finds Nicolo for his first touchdown thrown tonight. Also has a couple rushing home. 33-yard strike.
And he's a potential scholarship lacrosse player as well. But Carino flashing the arm on the last drive. And that's exactly what Stepinac needed. A quick strike. They cut the deficit to 10. And now can their defense get a stop? They've not been able to stop St. Anthony's in this second half.
Only a two-possession game. 8 minutes remaining. And something that has really been the obvious statement, even entering into this contest from Coach O'Donnell, was that the defense needs to play much better. Well, one defense that has played a lot better has been St. Anthony's, right, Amanda?
Well, Dan, I think if you ask that Coach Reichert right now, he's going to disagree with you. He just came on over to the defense screaming, getting his voice a little bit higher than we normally hear, telling them that that's not how we play defense. You got to keep everything in front of you.
After a couple of great stops, flip-flop the other way, onside kick, ball's loose. Stepinac saying it's theirs, and it is. Zach Barnes, after an excellent onside kick from Henderson.
You saw it coming the whole way. It looked like St. Anthony's wasn't really ready for it. Mishandled, and then Barnes able to slide back on top of it. And Stepinac's got new life.
From the 48-yard line of Friar Real Estate. So in less than a minute, they put 7 on the board and now have the ball at midfield. Grant with the run. Stopped by Costanzo.
So they got a quicker strike. Just under 8 minutes to go. There's urgency, but you don't have to rush right now. You have plenty of time that you can run your offense how you want.
Crusaders were given a gift. Wise motion man. Carino rolling left. Overshoots Wise. Incomplete.
And just like that, a big third down coming up.
Those passes into the flats for CJ Wise. They just have not been on the same page there. Either underthrown, overthrown. Quickly a third down from the 46-yard line, right hash marks. Carino to his left. Throws on the run. It's caught by Nicolo. Have yourself a day. Dominic Nicolo, the senior.
Big block by Grant to extend this play. Right there, just enough. And Nicolo has been money in the fourth for Stepinac.
From the 29. Wise reeled in at the 25-yard line. He swarmed right at the 21. CJ Wise, who last week had himself a few receptions for a couple of carries. Stepped up in the presence and lack of for Grant. Here they're looking for Harris, who bobbles, but I'm going to say it's a catch.
Boy, with the score the way it was, it forced Stepinac to start to go to the air, and that has sparked the Crusaders. Joey Carino has been incredibly accurate since that last St. Anthony's touchdown.
First and goal. Looking end zone. Wise! What a turnaround for the Crusaders. His second touchdown of the season.
Dan, these 2 touchdowns have been scored in about 2 total minutes of game time.
Henderson for the PAT. It is good. And it's just a 3-point contest here at St. Anthony's.
Boy, Joey Carino, again, they've given him plenty of time to throw. He's been comfortable going over the middle. C.J. Wise, 4 receptions last week. Just the 2nd touchdown of the season for Wise. Comes at a big time for the Crusaders.
So while the entire first quarter and essentially the third frame were all Malik Grant, now you're starting to see the ball spread around a little bit more. You're getting your secondary, tertiary guys into the mix, like a Wise, like a Nicola, who's come up with an excellent game so far for Coach O'Donnell.
It looks like St. Anthony's is expecting the onside kick this time. One guy back, it's Parker.
Line drive on the ground. Parker grabs it from the 20. Stutter steps into the middle of the field. They'll begin from the 32.
So a few minutes ago, it looked like St. Anthony's was about to put a bow on this one. But Stepinac, not to be outdone. They've found a way to come back into this one, led by Joey Carino. 2 touchdown passes late in this fourth have gotten Stepinac back within striking distance. And both teams now over their season average offensively, as well as what they've given up defensively.
1st and 10 from their own 33.
Another Stepinac penalty. We don't have the official numbers, but I would have to say that's their 10th of the night.
Minimum. Well, about 2.5 minutes ago of game time, Greg Campese ran over to the sideline after a 36-yard run and probably thought, hey, 17, we get a stop, get a nice drive. We'll be cruising with a 4-0 start. Now this is such a vital possession, and they'll lose a yard here on the run.
Dan, I think you bring up a really interesting point. How much, from an offensive standpoint, mindset-wise, did St. Anthony's kind of allow themselves to sigh, relax, let their guard down, and then all of a sudden very quickly have to ramp back up? And how quickly can they do that?
As Richie Riker tells him constantly, Stepinac is the team to beat in this AAA division. Not just because they're the reigning champions in the state and in the division, but just the talent they have. False start will back up this 2nd down. Now both teams having some trouble keeping the flag out of the pockets of the officials. So back from the 38. Check that, excuse me, to 33. Two receivers right, one to the left. It's Randall. Angus moves to the right hip. Campese chest high, looks left. He's going to Randall, down the sideline, and just misses him.
He had him. Randall had a step or two on Jamel Fleming, who was in coverage. Campese overshot him by a little bit, but Randall definitely had him beat.
Well, Reichert said even last week, despite the win against Christ the King, there were throws that Campese even knew he should have made. That might be one of them tonight here in the 4th. 5 minutes to play. Bell tie. Looks left again and overshoots Randall.
Well, that one sailed on Campisi. That was an odd throw out of his hand. Had Randall again. And now you'd think St. Anthony's is going to have to punt on 4th down in their own territory.
This is the first time that St. Anthony's is not putting points on the board on a drive since they got the ball, had one play, and took a knee to end the half. And you take that one away. The last time this happened was back on a punt by Campisi that brought it to the 1. Rolls backwards and favorably for Stepinac, who will take over from the 47-yard line. And the visiting fans are all on their feet and loving this.
Well, a bunch of them came down. They've been pretty quiet through most of this 4th quarter, but now they've got a reason to stand up and cheer and have some hope. They've been led by their junior quarterback in this 4th, Joey Carino. He's put together 2 spectacular drives.
The run on the outside. It's Grant. Cuts to the middle and passes the 40.
Much like we saw him at the start of the game, a big game and a big drive. And Malik Grant, it's kind of a pick your poison for opposing defenses. The way Carino has played in the 4th quarter, and then all of a sudden you got to key in on the ground game.
Carino holds it and slides up ahead for a short gain.
Well, he started his slide back at the 35-yard line, so it'll only be a pickup of 2.
Second down and 8 with under 4 to play now. Nicolo and Harris to the left. Boyd, the lone receiver, on the right side. Joey Carino working from the gun. Grant will take the carry. Keeps churning the legs. Ball pops loose.
I think Stepinac recovers, though.
Boyd jumped on the pigskin. Alvarado just missed it.
A second forced fumble for St. Anthony's tonight. And it was almost caused by his own offensive lineman in Cornelius trying to block through.
Keeps the drive moving with 3:20 to play. From the 34. Grant up the seams. Malik Grant stopped by Alvarado at the 10.
Grant, you can see he's got a little hitch in his step there. And he's going to come off.
Remember, it was an ankle injury that pulled him from the Iona Prep overtime loss early. You hope it's not the same ankle and same injury.
Watch Nicolo, top of your screen.
First and goal, they'll give it to Makai Green, and he goes backwards. Costanzo on the tackle along with Christian Taylor.
And keep an eye on a couple things, both teams with all 3 timeouts. So for Stepinac, it might even benefit them not scoring right away to limit the time on the clock that St. Anthony's would have if they were to score.
Of course, no 2-minute warning in high school football. 3 wide left, 1 to the right. Green at the left hip. The guy who has taken the bulk of the carries in the last 2 weeks. Timeout, Stepinac.
So that'll be the first charged timeout. And you'd think Mike O'Donnell will go over several different scenarios, how they want to play this out. And we'll keep an eye on Malik Grant, who came out of the game moments ago, limping around, but he is in that huddle right now to the left side. He's standing right in front of Eugene Boyd.
A team that has been playing with a little more desperation, not just in the last quarter of play, but from the very get-go. A rare 1-2 start on the season, where again, you could easily be 3-0. Contest where you're down by as much as 17, now just a 3-point game, and you're knocking on the door with a 2nd and goal from the 4.
Some wild swings in this game. They led by 14 after 1. Trailed by 17. Malik Grant coming back out. Still looks a little hampered. That left ankle is taped up.
Second and goal. From the 10, Carino in the gun. Here's Grant, up the middle, and he's stopped by Anthony Diao, the defensive tackle.
I believe St. Anthony's will take their first timeout now.
So that stops the clock with $1:45 to play.
And they're looking ahead and saying, if Stepinac scores, we want to be able to give ourselves as much time as possible.
And now remember, Matt, this play upcoming is so big because do you just kick if you miss it? You don't get in here. Do you kick on 4th down for a short chip shot, just tie the score, then give St. Anthony's the ball essentially for about a minute left and 2 timeouts?
Yeah, big 3rd down coming up. I mean, I think you have to take the points. You have to give yourself the chance to get this game to overtime if that's what it is. Of course, they'd love to just score here and make that a moot discussion.
They'll walk up to the football on the 5-yard line. 3rd down and goal. Both fan bases getting louder and louder at Cy Donnelly Fields. Grant to the left hip, Wise to the right, now motions left. Carino will throw, cross the middle, batted away. Nicholas Espada, who already had a fumble recovery back in the 1st. But there's a flag.
Down though. Espada coming out from behind, using his hand. Great defensive play. Stepinac wanted pass interference, but I don't think it was there. Timeout, St. Anthony's. Mike O'Donnell's all the way out at midfield yelling at the officials.
There has been no signal for a call on the flag.
Yeah, I think it might have gotten picked up. But O'Donnell hat off. I mean, you're not really supposed to be out there that far as a head coach.
Yeah, this is kind of that respect factor for 2 longtime coaches to be able to do something like that, maybe get an extra word in or 2. And gets a pat on the back from James Prince, his left tackle.
Yeah, I think he wanted the interference call, but that's a good non-call. Nick Espada now with perhaps the 2 biggest defensive plays for St. Anthony's tonight. A fumble recovery earlier in the game, and then a pass breakup that would have been the go-ahead touchdown.
Let's take one more look at this.
So he was behind, right? But it looks like from one angle there's fingers kind of around the wide receiver's hands, but they're red, so that's definitely his own hand. It didn't seem like Espada had reached around on his left shoulder. Just made a clean dive in front.
Kicking team is coming out. This would be a 22-yard field goal attempt by senior Nate Henderson.
Just keep an eye. Joey Carino, the quarterback, is the holder.
Henderson, 3 for 4 this season. Ball's down, just wide. And not by much.
Jubilation on the St. Anthony's sideline. Another look. Wide to the right as it hits the upright. And we've talked about it. Stepinac 1 and 2. Those 2 losses by a combined 4 points. So this very well could continue the series of near misses and near wins for Stepinac in 2018. Still work to be done from the St. Anthony side.
Stepinac still 2 timeouts remaining. As Campese will work up the middle. Timeout will be taken as it gets them to the 24.
So St. Anthony's moments away from going 4-0 on the season. If they can get a couple of first downs.
So Matt, you just think about the last few plays that transpire. You get the ball down to a goal situation. You have 1st and goal. Your top player gets hurt. You come back, you get some good defensive stops. Then a non-call, which was picked up, flag gets picked up. You have an irate coach, and then a guy who's only missed 1 field goal this season ends up bringing it right off the right post, just wide, and only by a few inches.
Look at the push from this offensive line. And Greg Campese right behind them. We've not seen that a whole lot today, but in crunch time, it comes out.
Final timeout called by Stepinac with 1 minute and 23 seconds to play. Here in the 4th quarter, 17-point lead vanishes down to just 3. And the defense of bend but don't break. That was the motto coming in to tonight's contest, and the way that Rich Reichard could talk about his defense through the first 3+ games. We bend, but we don't break. And we saw it countless times this evening.
Yeah, that last time might have been the ultimate definition of that. They had a 3-score lead about 4 minutes into this 4th quarter and watched it evaporate, with Archbishop Stepinac knocking on the door of a game-tying field goal moments ago. They get a little break, and now they can kneel this one out, as St. Anthony's will move to 4-0 on the season.
Garbowski trying to rush in there and cause something. Friars take exception. As the clock continues to run.
Well, on the field here, the clock stopped at 1:06. The referee is saying that they just called a timeout, but they didn't have a timeout to use. Rich Reichert is saying, what are you talking about? Well, the official... The referee gave it to him.
This has been a wacky ending.
I think that facial expression says it all.
I don't even think Mike O'Donnell knows. Well, either way, still would end up being a minute remaining on the official game clock.
Yeah, I think you can see Mike O'Donnell saying it's over. The game is over.
So one more kneel to come out. Or potentially two. We're not exactly sure.
Well, it would be two since they kept the clock at 1:06.
And they're going to run a play straight ahead, and now there's going to be some flags flying here.
Well, that will stop the clock.
Now the big issue going forward here is safety issues. And they're going to call a personal foul. Which technically, I'm not sure how you can call a personal foul when you're still running the play.
Well, if you get into the victory formation. Yeah. So if you get into that formation, you say you're going to take a knee and then run. I think from a gamesmanship standpoint, the reason they did that was the play prior when they were clearly taking a knee and the defense kind of rushed in.
So if Campese came out and told him, I'm taking a knee, that's where your 15 yards is. Well, unfortunately, an ending that is not the kind that you want in what has been an exciting game through the first, 3 quarters and 10 minutes, if you want to say. Maybe 11 minutes. Go 3 and 11. But Greg Campese tosses 5 and 1 more rushing. And they'll start with a 4-0 record. And even more importantly, a 3-0 record in league. Stepinac dropping down to 1-3. And it's St. Anthony's that wins the championship rematch on their home turf. The final score, the Friars 45, the Crusaders 42.
Well, when they were down 14-0 to start this game, didn't quite look like this would be the end result. But a phenomenal second half performance from Greg Campese and the rest of this offense. And the Friars stay perfect on the young season.
Don't go anywhere. There's still more coverage here from Cy Donnelly Field. We'll bring you our player of the game as well as our play of the game. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Cy Donnelly Field. 45-42, St. Anthony's victorious over Stepinac. And big reason why is that quarterback, our News 12 Varsity player of the game. And it's the quarterback, Greg Campese, who's standing by with Amanda Puglisi.
You guys certainly like to keep it interesting, a very dramatic fourth quarter. Tell me, how was your team able to keep your composure with all that back and forth, the onside kick, just everything that was thrown at you?
Just got to stay locked in. It's the fourth quarter is always huge, especially against a team like this. I think we all had our mind. We came in here wanting to win this game. We came in this week, we were prepping for it, and we knew we lost them last year, and we could not accept the loss again.
How does your prep for a team like St. Anthony's differ from another team in your league? Or Stepinac, rather.
Stepinac. Well, we lost them twice last year. You know, there's a certain intensity that comes to practice. They've had our number, and I think it was about time we came back.
A big second quarter. You talk about that fourth quarter, but how about that second quarter? What was the difference for your offense?
We found holes. We liked the matchup outside and just took advantage of it.
A big offensive night for you. 5 touchdowns throwing, 1 rushing. I mean, what was it with this offense tonight? The offensive line, your wide receiver, just everything seemed to be going your way.
Everything just clicked. You know, offensive line played absolutely fantastic. Then I got sacked maybe once in the first quarter, and that was it. You know, so they played awesome. Gave me time to hit my receivers down the field, and you know, they opened up holes for me too, which I'm grateful for.
I like you not counting that second sack, Greg. Good luck the rest of the way.
The second, you know. Time flies during the game, you know? Time flies during the game.
Good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you.
Well, selective memory sometimes, Matt. Selective memory.
You have to.
Well, something that we don't want to selectively remember, but maybe positively selectively remember, is our play of the game, and there were a couple of good ones today.
Yeah, St. Anthony's defense came up with a stop when they needed to in the fourth quarter. Malik Grant, it was tough to stop him all game long, but they did get a stop on 4th down. Arante had the first connection, and then what would be the game-winning touchdown run, the 6th and final touchdown that Greg Campese was involved in. This was the lone one with his legs, and a huge second half for number 11 in black.
Well, Matt, as we're at that halfway point of the season now, for these two groups, these were very, very important games early on. I know you can say, yes, things can change later on. It's really just for seeding at this point. But now you have the Friars, who are sitting atop the division, 4-0 in a very tough AAA, and you know they want to be playing their home games here throughout until a championship.
Yeah, they would love the number 1 seed now, and especially because they have this being like the teeth of their schedule. They still have Cardinal Hayes to face. They still have Iona Prep to face, and Archbishop Stepinac. They've got some questions to answer now. 3 losses, combined 7 points in those 3 losses.
Next week, we will be heading up to the Hudson Valley. Section 1 football, Yorktown and Clarkstown South. It will be live right here on Channel 61, News12Varsity.com. Always great crowds that come out to those contests. So Friday night, tune in, 6:30 start to kick off your Columbus Day weekend. Well, today was a fun one, and there's a reason why this was our game of the week, with just a 3-point victory for those guys in the black and gold. It started with intense running from Malik Grant and finished off with some excellent defensive plays down the stretch by the Friars. Many thanks to everyone here at News 12 Varsity, as always, for what they do. For our producer, Brian Butler, and my broadcast partners, Amanda Puglisi and Matt Shorters, I'm Ted Savarino saying thanks so much for watching. Tune in next week. Check out all the highlights for the football fix on Wednesday night. Again, that's a 7 o'clock show Wednesday, only on 8 o'clock show, on News 12 Varsity. 45-42 the final score. St. Anthony's stays unbeaten.